fancy intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey, Star Trek Fleet Commanders, welcome back to the channel. Apologies for my voice and everything, being a little bit off today. Did have that procedure / scope done, so thank you for all the love and prayers that many of you have sent. I also want to do this as a very quick reminder to turn in your choice rewards and turn in your event store currency. Do not forget, because it doesn't roll over, so I want to use that as an opportunity. But it is done. Thankfully, no Barrett's found. They are worried about a couple of things, so they took a couple of biopsies, but wanted to give y'all an update. That is in the Discord, so don't want to just, for all those that care, thank you so much for caring. For those of you who don't, we're not going to spend all day on it, but if you want to check it out, all those updates are in the Discord, and you can get that link down in the description below. What we're going to do today is grade patches 76 and 77 together. Obviously, we do this every year. There are a little changes that we have been incrementally doing. I've made some slight changes here based on y'all's feedback, specifically about bug reporting here. And I'm hoping that it's simplistic enough to get what y'all are wanting, but detailed enough for me to be able to go to the overlords and say, hey, these are the things really, really pressing. So here's what we're going to do for those who are not familiar with the format. In the pinned comment down below, you'll find this form. This form is how we are going to do our grading. If you're not familiar with it, you simply click. If things don't apply to you, you ignore them. So I will do them generically to begin, and then we will go into more depth at the end of the video. So if you want to know what I think, skip to about 9 minutes into this video and you will know. So let's start with the basics of officers. Now, one thing that has changed drastically here is over the past 6 months, and this is backed by your grading, a lot of the features and officer stuff of the game has gotten better. It's gotten better because they've gotten more consistent with sourcing of these officers. So all the officers we're going to talk about today actually have been sourced as a long-term source, with the exception of, I believe, one. So in the questionnaire, you say, is there good sourcing? Is there bad sourcing? Now, keep in mind that they're a little bit all over the place because they are mixed into different groups, which is also very different this time around. And I want you to think about that in your grading. So for example, Section 31 Giorgio is with the Section 31 group. You have the Mirror crew has Quasi in it now. So these are all now sorted in, not confusing ways, because I actually like that you have mixed abilities here. So for example, mixed synergy, able to add those into the groups, whether they're PvP, PvE. We found a lot of different variety of officers. We've actually got Enterprise E officers now. So a lot got added in with this set. And I want to know y'all's opinions. Now, again, I'm going to just grade it generically, but I do want y'all's thoughts, specifically in the comments. What did you think about them using mixed synergies? As in, instead of making completely new groups, saying, hey, here's some older groups. How can we make those older groups better by putting in officers that work with them? So I'm very curious as to y'all's thoughts on that one. So next up on the list is going to be features. Now, there's a lot here, and because we're doing this an arc at a time, I'm trying not to overload y'all, so bear with me. We're going to fly through these, but you're going to grade it as a whole. Just what did you think about the features over the past 2 months? Now, for those curious, what were those major features? Solo waves and elite solo waves. The Section 31 faction store update. New artifacts and chaos technology, or several of them. Apex Shred got added in, as well as several quality of life improvements like the amalgam getting added into the IA, the ship parts converter, the animation skip additions, and other things. What did you think about all of those things as a whole? Again, I'm going to grade it generically, but all these are optional. Now, if none of these apply to you, so for example, if you're a level 30 player, don't worry, you only have to do the ones with the red dots on them. Skip anything that doesn't apply to you. But what did you think? So as we take a look at things like these solo waves, most people seem to believe that they're good for 2 reasons. Number one, the reason that I've seen a lot of positivity about them is because all the new features over the past few months have been catch-up mechanics. Like when Crenum formations came out, yes, they were formation armadas, but they allowed you to catch up on all the old formation armadas instead of having to do all of them. Solos do the same thing. Solo waves are waves, and you can still do group waves, whether they're regular, the mirror waves, etc. But solo waves pay out all of those currencies, and there is a difficulty setting where the elites are really, really tough. So there's a challenging mode and a regular mode for solos. The biggest thing I've seen in terms of feedback has been the fact that they play out for everybody the exact same, as in it's a catch-up mechanic. However, you still have that group mechanic to run and get even more of those currencies, which then is going to help with the Section 31 faction store, which got a pretty huge facelift, improving sourcing for a lot of things, including officers, artifacts, all of the different things that we had previously, now being easier to source, but with more things added in, including those favors such as the Apex Shred favor. So quite a bit of an overhaul here. And again, that is in the list that you can vote on. So do that if you haven't already. It's right over there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and click next. We get into the I wouldn't call this the tricky part, but it's the GS31, and I'm very curious to see how people grade this. I do not want to move you in a direction here nor there. NSCA was quite popular. We talked about how much the GS31 was active in the leaderboards early on. Here you see it right behind me. It's made for the GS31 Elite Waves because that's essentially what they are. They were made for this ship. Those things are tough. They are brutal. And this thing is how you take them down. Even me as a G5 player with a 2.4 billion powered Enterprise D, those G5 waves, I still have not beat Wave 5 because this thing's not big enough quite yet. They are gnarly. So with that in mind, what did you think about the ship? Keep in mind, the main thing we look at with the ship is the sourcing provided. That's the main way we grade the ships now. And then if you obtained it, give me what you think between its research, its refinery being, again, I think a massive selling point for a lot of people because it has gotten a big buff before the month wrapped up. So you get even more ship parts that you were getting before. You, of course, have officer sourcing. We talked about some of those officers getting sourced. There's some of them right there. And then the ship parts as well as the upgrade materials for the ship itself. So grade the ship on whatever scale you think, good, bad, or ugly. I know not everybody likes the 100-day timetable, which is completely fair. But there you go. Moving on to the next part. Event calendar. Now, I want to share with y'all some numbers real quick about the event store. We officially had our best event store, including for players below level 40, in 2 years, since 2023. Here are the numbers that myself, Ultimate DJ, Quasel, Tarpitude, Jules Verne, everybody who works on all these lists to keep up with these numbers. Here's the final tallies. You're back over 400,000 as an average for a free-to-play, which is fantastic. The drawback, well, there's so many good things in the store, you didn't have enough currency to get all of them. But I think that's the better problem to have versus things in the store and you just simply can't get anything because you don't have enough currency or because there's not anything good there. But I think you had both good additions to the store and you had currency finally getting back to levels that matter. And this is why feedback is so important, both here, other content creators, fish moderators. You've got to pound the table for these things so we can get them. So back here, how did you grade the event calendar? How the month went with the events? And then I want to know how y'all felt about the currency, whether you're level 15 or level 65. How did you feel about the currency, the materials, etc.? Moving on. Now, communications, pretty simple. Haven't changed much with that, so I'll leave that as it is. Y'all know what communication means, in-game communication, using their social medias, etc. And then last but not least, we have the stability grading rubric. Now, I added something here at the end that I encourage all of you to take advantage of, but we have the stability one, thoughts on stability and bug issues, but I want to know this, and I got to be strict with this one, chat. I need to know the top 2 most prevalent bugs in your words that affected gameplay. I'm not saying that there aren't more than 2. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help with our volunteer team, and we're going to go over all the things. Find what the top 2 most talked about things are, and please be specific. You cannot just say lag. And I'm not saying that to demean you. I'm not saying that to say your opinion doesn't matter. But you can't just say, oh, the thing that affected me most was lag. What do you mean? Do you mean animation lag, where you went to do your alliance tournament and it just felt like it was taking way too long? Do you mean in incursions when you're raiding a base? Do you mean in arenas? What specifically? Was it an animation? Was it a battle? Be specific about the problems and then we will go to bat for you. But please be specific. Do not just say lag and Scopely's the devil and they are greedy. I'm not going to take that to them. But if you're specific, we're going to grab the most common 2. And what we're going to do is do that probably every arc now. And hopefully those can become really hard-hitting things. And I'm not saying I won't mention other things, but we're really going to try to take 2 at a time. And then we can build a list of 5, 10, 15 things out of that because y'all aren't all going to say the same thing. But that's what's changed. All right, now we're into the Rev Deuce side of things. I'm going to give you what I thought about this arc. And I'm going to be honest, call me a shill. We've had 6 months in a row of good content. Has it been great? Didn't say that. But again, what did I see? We have a theme. Independent archives have come out in the past 6 months. Things like Crenum Formations is new content, but it's a catch-up mechanic that speeds up old content. Same thing with the solo waves. Even though they're doing the same pattern of new content every month, at least it's speeding up the old content and providing better sourcing for those other items. So I'm going to be grading with a lot of positive today. So if you don't like that, well, thank you for participating because your opinion matters. Officer grading. I like the mixed assortment. It's actually one of my favorite sets of officers in a while because it's something for everybody. It's PvE, it's PvP, it's a mix of all the things. It's loot officers, and it's synergized with multiple groups. So it helps you fill in some of the holes you might have. Not everybody can be a credit card warrior and have all the officers. So maybe you had Enterprise E Picard and you had Enterprise E Riker, but you didn't have anybody else. Maybe you had Enterprise E Data and Enterprise E Riker, but you have anybody else. Well, guess what? Now you do. You have Rachel Garrett, right? And sourcing for Rachel Garrett. You don't have her already. So I like that filling out of that other set. So I actually am very positive about the officers in this past arc. Features as a whole. Again, I think that Solo Waves as a mechanic is great. I think the Section 31 faction store is great. I think the new artifacts and technology are, I don't really care. They're okay. I don't feel like they were fantastic. Apex Shred, I do not like, but that may be just a personal issue because I don't like constantly adding to the combat mechanic. That doesn't mean that it isn't effective. And then quality of life improvements I liked, but they needed further refinement, and we've been getting those. Now, that's just how I see it. I feel like this is a good month. It's one of those that like, hey, it's a B, it's 80%, it's 85. Things that could be better, absolutely. But content is moving in the right direction and has been for months. It's one of the first times in a while I've been able to say, hey, I'm actually pretty confident in some of the things that they're doing, making me look forward to Wrath of Khan. Now here's the ship. Sourcing, I'm okay with how the sourcing path is. Not everybody is, and I want y'all to be very clear if you disagree. I'm okay with a 100-day free-to-play day one sourcing path, and I've always said that. Some people consider that too long, and if you do, please denote that and say, hey, I only give it a 3 because of that, and that is A-okay. As far as the ship itself, I mean, it's pretty important, and it is valuable, but it needs to be tiered up, and it does get quite strong, but it needs to be tiered. Grading the event calendar, again, I felt like it was a good month. Not tremendous amount, but we're back to getting really nice currency. That's good to see. Did I get sufficient mats and resources thanks to the choice tokens? Yes, I did. I still want to see epics added in to more than just one. Why does only one of the 3 have epics as an option? Well, I've explained this before, but I still think it needs to change, and I'm sure many of you do as well. Like the video if you agree. This is the time. Of all the moments to pick, I picked that one. Like the video if you agree with that statement. And were the event store items good/adequate? I think the new additions were very, very nice. Communication I felt like was solid this month. There was even a Q&A on Reddit if you missed it. Lots of communications coming through. We like to see it. So that was nice. I don't feel like it was perfect, but it was definitely better than it was 3 years ago. And I do grade on a curve of the lowest of the lows. Game stability. Here's where I get a little bit negative. I feel like this was a rough month with stability, whether it be some of the patches, whether it be PvP arenas. I feel like this is where it actually started to struggle the most. And I feel like game stability wasn't an F, but it's the closest it's been to an F for me in some time. And I'm very curious to see if you had a similar experience. My top 2 bugs are gonna be some of the things that I said earlier if you didn't catch the hints. Specifically, PvP arenas and Alliance tournament lags were very bad and caused people to lose currencies. And I think that is a problem. But that still is, for the most part, a really good month. And there's my submitted answers. I want to know what you think down in the comment section down below. You help us out. You are just as important as me. If anything, you're more important. Thank y'all for the love and support. As always, if you need anything, my DMs are always open. Live long and plunder. Stay safe with our Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek Fleet Command video. Please share this out with your Alliance mates, your server mates, and everybody else who wants this game to be better.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.